We're joined today by Sergeant Sarah Knelsen from the Lloydminster Detachment, and we thank you for joining us, as always, to give us an update.
Well, thanks for having me back.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is Operation Impact, which was on over Thanksgiving weekend. So how did that go in the Lloydminster area?
Oh, it went fantastic. Lloydminster participated from Friday, October 5th until October the 8th, and within that 3-day time period, we pulled over well over 150 vehicles. We had only 3 impaired drivers, so we had 3 charges for impaired driving. We had 1 24-hour suspension and several tickets for distracted driving and no use of seatbelt. So to us, that's a success. I think three impaired drivers over a Thanksgiving weekend is minimal. I would like to see that number at 0. However, we're trying to educate the public, and operations like this help us to educate the public as to designated drivers and what to be aware of when they're out and about having a good time over a long weekend. You can expect to see more of these, more check stops coming, especially with the Christmas season upon us.
Well, and just because you have a targeted focus for one weekend doesn't mean that you guys lay off for the rest of the time, right? So even though you had that focus, it's a good reminder, I guess, for people going forward to keep up the thought process in regards to distracted driving and impaired. And as you said, with Christmas parties starting soon, it is something to have in the back of their mind.
Absolutely, and to us, we just want to educate people and say, you know, there's alternatives to driving if you've consumed a few beverages, or there's alternatives to being on your cell phone, because those are what causes the accidents, and then sometimes they're catastrophic accidents. So if we can stop that from happening, that's the Lloydminster's goal, the RCMP's goal, and so we're constantly looking for impaired drivers, distracted drivers, and drivers without seatbelts. Any Traffic Safety Act or Criminal Code driving infraction, we're always looking for. It just kind of was focused this past weekend.
Now, one thing, unfortunately, over the past weekend as well, there was some incidents involving some tainted drugs, and we do have some stats in regards to that. And do you want to just go over what happened on the weekend and what you're looking to do to educate people going forward?
Yes, the Lloydminster RCMP would like to educate the public due to the fact that there are illicit street drugs within our community, and over the long weekends, unfortunately, we believe that one death was as a result of a person consuming maybe tainted illicit street drugs that were laced with fentanyl. We also had 3 people who were taken to hospital, and thankfully they managed to be okay. However, the RCMP wants to advise the public that there is illicit street drugs out there that are contaminated. When people are making the drugs, sometimes they don't measure, or they don't care what they're putting into these drugs, and it's causing deaths around our community, and we want to advise the public to be very, very cautious if you are consuming any illicit street drug, which we don't encourage, but I do want to warn the public that there are bad drugs, I guess, out there, and if in fact you think that you've taken a tainted drug or you're suffering from a drug overdose, to call 911 immediately so that we can attend and the EMS can attend and transport you to hospital.
Now, what about for general members of the public, if they suspect maybe their family members happen to be involved, unfortunately, with taking drugs? What's their best step? I mean, obviously the warning is out there, but do they need to contact you right away too? Is that the best place to start if they want to get help for people who are involved with this?
Certainly, you can go to Mental Health and Addictions. You can come to the Lloydminster RCMP. Just reach out to someone, and if you're around a family member or a friend who you think has consumed drugs and they're in a state of an overdose, call 911 immediately, because that's what we're here for, and we'll come and assist you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Our time is up for today. Always seems to go by so
quickly.
It
does go by quick.
But we'll have you back again in a couple of weeks, and there's so many things always going on at the detachment. So thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.